Мистер Ritter, вы работали экспертом ООН в Ираке, искали оружие массового поражения. Вторжение в Ирак в 2003 году стало возможным благодаря выступлению Колина Пауэлла в ООН, когда он потрясал пробиркой с белым порошком. Как вы считаете, насколько Запад пошел на подлог, обман для оправдания своего вторжения? И как в дальнейшем западные страны использовали технологию подлога в своей внешнеполитической деятельности?
When you say forgery, I think what you're saying is the misrepresentation of the reality of Iraqi weapons of mass destruction. Let's be clear. Iraq had weapons of mass destruction. With this, there is no doubt. They had massive quantities of chemical weapons. They had significant quantities of biological agent. They had prohibited long-range ballistic missiles, and they had a prohibited nuclear weapons program. This is certain. So there's no forgery required when it comes to reality. The issue isn't did the United States forge Iraqi weapons of mass destruction, but rather did the United States misrepresent the success of the United Nations weapons inspectors in disposing of these weapons of mass destruction. The work of the inspectors that I played a part in was very long, very complicated, very confrontational, and in the end, extremely. It was, something that the world had trouble wrestling with. We found that we could account for 90 to 95% of Iraq's weapons of mass destruction inventory. We did this either by destroying it ourselves or by uncovering evidence that Iraq had destroyed it. Iraq, in the summer of 1991, in an effort to hide the fact that they had lied to the inspectors, unilaterally destroyed a significant quantity of their weapons of mass destruction. But they didn't tell us about it. They lied. And we had to confront them with the inadequacy of their declarations. They admitted they lied, and then they took us to the bodies. But now we have to forensically reconstitute the evidence, to take dead bodies, bring them back to life so that we can count them. This was a very lengthy process and a very imperfect process, meaning we could not account for 100%. At the same time, because we couldn't account for 100%, we carried out very intrusive inspections that the Iraqis did not approve of. And this led to conflict between us and the Iraqis. And this conflict only furthered the perception in the minds of many that because Iraq wasn't cooperating with the inspectors, they were hiding something. But the fact is, much of the Iraqi failure to cooperate had nothing to do with weapons of mass destruction, but the fact that the United States was seeking to use the inspection process to gather intelligence about the security of Saddam Hussein so they could overthrow Saddam Hussein. Very complicated situation. In the end, the closer the inspectors got to discovering the final truth of Iraq's weapons of mass destruction programs, the more the United States objected to our work because they didn't want the truth to be told. And that's what ultimately happened. It wasn't that the United States forged evidence of Iraqi weapons of mass destruction. It's that the United States refused to allow the truth about the disposition of Iraqi weapons of mass destruction to be told, and instead facilitated an incomplete story, a story story that was based upon the wrong assessment that Iraq was holding on to weapons when we could prove that Iraq wasn't holding on to weapons. So they didn't forge evidence, they lied about the existing evidence. And now the second part of your question is, to what extent does this play in how the United States deals with these issues? I think I said it plain and simple. The United States isn't normally in the business of forging evidence. The United States is in the business of lying.
And
lie all the time.
And Great Britain?
Oh, of course, the British are the same. I mean, look. Let's put it this way: in issues where American national security is preeminent, and we are working in cooperation with our European allies, they are completely subordinated to the American program. So when the United States goes down a path of lying about something, our allies follow suit and participate in the lies, even when they know that it's not the truth. And unfortunately for the British, because I will say this about the British, I worked very closely with British intelligence from 1991 until 1998. And up until the very end, the British seemed to be sincere about wanting to pursue the truth of Iraqi weapons of mass destruction. But when the United States said, we don't want the truth, we want Saddam gone, the British stopped pursuing truth and fully supported the American objective of lying, even if it made them contradict previous statements that they had made about the work of the inspectors. The British, unfortunately, I mean, to use a colloquialism, are very much an American poodle.